Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to write validations using YAP. First let's see the TypeScript validation for the form. Here you can see in the TypeScript email, first name, last name and all of these stuff are string and required. Here the agree to term value is boolean and it is required. Now let's go to the YAP validation. Before I start, I have imported YAP like this, and also I have added this regex to get only letters. Now I am exporting a variable called validations. Here I'm going to write the validations. Now we have to use YAP.object because our form is an object. Here it has a shape, so shape. Now we can add the object here. Now we can write the shape of the object. Now let's add email. Now from YAP we get a string and it is required, email is required and it is a email. For email we have a separate validation called email like this. Now let's add first name. Here it is a string, it is required. Now I'm going to add a validation to filter only letters in the alphabet. Here I'm going to use matches. Using matches we can pass a regex to it. According to that regex, this validation will happen. So here I'm going to pass this regex. To this I'm going to add max characters. Let's add 30. Now last name. Validation for the last name and the first name is same, so I'm going to copy the same thing. Alright. Now we have to add password. For the password it is string. It is required. Now we should have minimum 8 characters. Let's type confirm password delegation. Confirm password. Here it is YAP string. It should be required. Now we have to write one-off. What one-off does is it gets the confirm password value and compare it with items in this array. So if one of the item matches, then validation pass. If those doesn't match the items in the array, validation fail. We shouldn't add like manual validations here, right? Instead of adding manual stuff, we must add the password that we typed before. How should I get that one? We have to write yap.ref. Here I'm gonna write password. Now agree to terms. Agree to terms. It is boolean. Yap.boolean required and it is one of true, because if it is true only we let user to submit the form. Here you can see the validation messages. So this is not user friendly, like you can say agree to terms, confirm password, and look at this is the regex we paste. So this is not good, it is not user friendly. So we have to add manual validation messages. Here you can see I have string, so we don't need one for string. We need one for required. So this is how we add required validation. Done. Here we can type invalid email. How can we add validation to here? Matches only letters. How? So we can add the second parameter and write the message. Only accept letters. You can see we have max values here. So how can we add that one? Here we can do this, okay? Max only accept 30 values. Okay, this is good, but there is a better way. Here you can see we have max 30, right? Instead of passing a string, we can pass a function. Here I'm going to pass that function. Here we get a value, params, like we get params. But instead of getting this as a variable, I'm going to destructure that param. Here I'm going to get max value. Okay. Now here I'm gonna add that max value. Now you can see max and max. In this way you can add validation to max values. Here also in one of here we can add password doesn't match, like that way. Also here you can do the same. Since type in validation errors takes time, I'm gonna revert this code. You can see I have written all the validation messages. Now we have created the yup validation. Here we have to connect it with the form. To connect that, we need use form hook from React hook form library. To that we have to pass an object. Here we have mode. Mode have all of these variants. When we choose on change, that means validation only happens when we change an input field. If we add on submit, when user submit the form, then only you get the validation. Right now I'm adding all because there is any change, I want the validation to happen. After that we have to pass the validation resolver. To this I'm gonna get yup resolver from React hook form, and I'm gonna pass the validations to it. Now it has the validations. Before I get the final result from it, I wanna show you some other stuff regarding this configuration. So if you wanna add default values, you can pass default values like this. Also there is another one called values. Okay, so what default value does is it assigns values before we do anything to the form. To this we shouldn't add any existing values. For example, right now we are using sign up form. All the time we don't have sign up form. We need full CRUD in the form. Let's say we have to do CRUD and you create the to do. Now we have the edit to do. Before we edit the to do, we need the existing values in the form. To do that we use values. Okay, that's the difference. Here the use form returns something. Let's destructure it, and from that dot I'm gonna get control. Also handle submit. Here I commented the previous code. I'm gonna write a completely new one. We have the form. In that form, when we submit, we have to pass on submit. To that we have to pass this handle submit. Done. Now we have to pass the callback function. Okay, I'm gonna create something called on submit. Yeah, this is a function. I'm gonna create that one here, and fn here we have a type for this. This is called submit handler, and we have to pass this return type, that is sign up form value type. Okay, now we have these values. Here we can console log it. Here also I can add this generic one. Now we have validation for all of this stuff. Now we have control. To use that we need to get controller from React hook form. Now here we have to pass control. Okay, now we have to pass the name. Name means one of these keys in the yup form. Okay, now here I'm gonna write email. Now we have to pass render. In the render we can pass the input field. Before passing that one we have to add a function like this. Here I'm gonna add input for now. Okay, here from this one I'm gonna destructure what we are getting, and from that one I'm gonna get field. This field have value field dot value. It has on change, field dot on change. So you can see it has on blur also. Like, okay, instead of typing individual stuff like this, I'm gonna pass everything that came from field and pass it like this. Now I'm gonna get field state. Here I'm gonna pass error boolean field state dot error. Also I'm gonna pass error message field state dot error dot message. Now I pass whether we have an error or whether we have an error message. This is just to explain this stuff. So I'm gonna uncomment the full code and show it to you if I miss anything. Here in the agreed terms, you can see I have a huge component here, but here you can see I only change the checkbox, and here all of these stuff are for the errors and managing the UI. Now we have the button. Here you can see button don't have one click on submit or anything. I just have this type submit. That's all from the video. If you learn something new, make sure to like and subscribe and share it with others.